Some good, some bad, definitely some ugly. We'll talk about it.
Ray Guns Legos, bricks and toys.
All right, toy fans. So I've got Hydro-Viper, and here's the thing. I was super excited because I've been basically bombing anytime that I would see anyone talking about the news that Hydro-Viper's coming out, especially Viper Island. I was consistently talking about how I could not wait for this one. It finally came in. I was like, hey, this is great. Now, this is my second time. I've already opened this and had to put it all back together because everything I shot was lost. In the middle of me recording my first run of this, the power went out. So I'm kind of hoping, I'm praying right now that the power stays on because this is ridiculous. But yeah, so I've got the Hydro-Viper, Cobra Hydro-Viper, and I've been wanting this forever. And there's one key thing in it that's already a huge disappointment for me. And we'll get into that when we start talking about the toy. This is one of those where I almost have to ask Lenny, why? Why this one thing? And we'll talk about it. And then we'll compare them with the eel. We'll compare them with wetsuit. We'll look. I love the scuba set, people. Interesting enough, I don't have torpedo and I don't have the 2-pack, but all the other divers I got, including pre-ordering Deep 6. This one is going to stand out as one that I love and one that I hate at the same time. So let's look at the box. Now, of course, this comes in that standard GIJoe classified box. We get an open window, so no more of the closed window sets. That is off the table. The only time we'll ever have that, vehicles, that's pretty much it. And I'm surprised they haven't done the vehicles with like the window, which I can't remember if, I think my Awe Striker had the window for crankcase. So I think they're still pushing that to make sure everything's windowed, because that's what we want to see. For people who were in-package collectors, they want to be able to see the goods. For me personally, I take it all out. So usually I get rid of the boxes. There you go. So we get the Cobra emblem there. We get the Cobra Hydro-Viper. We get the Demon of the Deep. Nice artwork here. Very cool. Kind of reminiscent of the old, was it 80, 85, 87? I'm trying to remember what year that came out. Hydro-Viper card art, which I loved that card art. We'll talk about that in the color scheme with this here in a minute too. We get a nice picture of him here with the manta ray. Of course, this is a render of the toy. We get all the coding here for what he does. You can scan that, see what he wants, or see, I guess, what it is. I don't even know. I think this just goes to the website. I'm actually not sure. $1.99 in the series. Let's open this bad boy up, because there's really nothing else with the box. Now, when you take them out, you got, of course, a paper of legalese. You get the Cobra stuff in the bottom. You do get 2 trays with them. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You do have 2 trays. You got the manta ray because he is a beast person. Now, this is the normal cost of the kind of the figures. You know, before we would get beast, they were like gnawhide, timber with snake eyes, things like that. This is not an articulated beast, so it feels more like an accessory that does a beast, but he is a beast handler. And with that, we got this manta or devil ray. Really nice kind of airbrushing underneath. It's kind of a beige color. We get the red of the eye there. Ooh, manta ray. He's pretty cool. I've swam with these before. Well, I think I swam with, I can't remember if they were manta or stingrays. I can't remember. Alright, we do get this really cool. Oh, looky there. Already got plastic stressing right there. Something you want to be careful about. This thing right here is rigid. And you see that kind of white right there? It's already got plastic stressing. So this will be something that you kind of want to keep an eye on. But this is all one piece. This hose actually is a little bit separate. This is molded onto it with very rigid parts. Yeah, I'm more afraid of that breaking off. That's not a good sign. Out of the gate, that's not a good sign. But something that we'll keep in mind. Now, this is a deep sea rig here. It's, interestingly enough, they are mutants, so the Hydro-Vipers are actually some sort of undersea mutant. So they are meant to survive really deep in the water. So this is probably going to be some sort of oxygen-nitrogen mix with some sort of extra mix here. That's going to help compress their body, make it to where they can breathe longer, deeper as they go. Then, of course, we got that famous sort of lightning knife, and we had this kind of similar with the 80s version, which I absolutely love that one. As a matter of fact, the only thing I have left in my 80s version are, I think it was like two of the fins, but that's it. I don't have any of the rest of it left because it all got donated. All right, we do have that spear gun. Now, this one in comparison, it's a lot smaller. It's a little bit of an update. It's interesting. It's almost like a shotgun, spear gun sort of thing instead of being a spear gun. It works. It works. There's a part of me that feels that we probably should have had more of like spear gun, kind of like what the Cobra Eels have, but you know, it is. We get these really cool webbed feet, and they look like exoskeleton feet, or like little amphibian feet. Pretty cool. We got a left, got a right. They're red, and they do have some brushing in there of dark, just to make that stand out some more. We get the dive mask, the actual Demon of the Deep dive mask. And the hoses are built in. And guess what? Oh, this is where we're having the problem. It's a swappable head. Here's where I'm going to land on this. And this is something you need to know. If the helmet would have made the head a little bit bigger, I think personally I would have been fine with that. And the reason why I say that is because I'm not too keen on swappable heads as it is anyways. That's kind of like one of my areas where I'm not like the biggest fan of swappable heads. But, you know, the Cobra Eel, which did not have a helmet in the original 80s run, has a helmet. Wetsuit, who did not have a helmet in the original run, has a removable helmet in the classified. This figure had a removable helmet. I do think that to honor the figure the way that it should have been done, it should have had a helmet. I can look past the coloring. I can look past a lot of the changes with it that were not, in my opinion, you know, good as far as like the overall look. But the helmet, guys, we should have had an actual helmet. Now, there are tricks you can do to make it like he's holding the helmet. Can you kick it off at the end? No. Am I worried about breaking the peg every time I switch out the helmet? Yeah. And I think that's a key thing that really gets me with this, is that we're paying premium prices, but I don't necessarily feel like we're getting the premium product in that, hey, he originally had a helmet, let's give him a helmet. Not a swappable head, a helmet. Just my take on it. But, you know, tell me I'm wrong, because, hey, even Deep Six, who did not have a removable helmet, has 2 removable helmets. Toxo Viper, that had a removable helmet, will have a removable helmet. It kind of goes to show that if it had a removable helmet, it should have come with a removable helmet. But, you know, what do I know? Overall, pretty decent deco, though I do feel like, so they added some kind of brownish, it's like a brownish sort of red tone to this, which, you know, works in my opinion. The sculpting on this is beautiful, by the way. There's no yellow, so we are missing the yellow for the pockets here on the sides. Okay. We do have an updated gauntlet here that has some gauges on there, which is nice. The little fins on there, which is nice. The updated armband you know, not too bad. It does, I don't even know what it is, but I would say some sort of temperature gauge. You've got the piece here for, it's like the not scabbard, it's the holster for the spear gun, and that does actually fit in. It is actually cut in the back, so you can rock that thing around. Boom. Put that on his leg there. He does have the double hinge knees. They are rather tight. He does have the ball jointing with the drop hips, swivel thighs, swivel ankles along with the hinge and the foot rocker. The ankles themselves also feel rather tight. He does have the butterfly here. It's okay. You don't get like a lot of range in it, but you know, you do get some. And there's nothing here hindering the tops of the shoulders. So like the Cobra Eels had that piece on there that caused some problems. Now, I feel like the vest should have been more on the brownish purple side, and the reason why is because the original art had more of kind of that brownish sort of purple sort of coloring. The helmet, again, should have been a helmet and not necessarily in just a swappable head. Other than that, I think that this is pretty spot on for what I would want for a Hydro-Viper. I mean, it looks incredible. I'm just still not very happy about that head. And I know my wife is tired of hearing about it. She's like, ugh. She's like, you're going to love it when you get it. It's like I do. I'm so glad to have them. Man, oh man, we should have had a helmet. I'm actually thinking about starting to look on like Etsy, places like that, to see, do they have a helmet that'll fit this guy, and I could just throw that in a bin or sell it online. Because, again, it should have been a helmet. I know Lenny's leaving. I know that that's going to be up to the people who are there now, the designers that are there. But it's like one of those things as a designer. It's like, listen, for those who are designing from here on out, if you're like, oh, it looks too big, maybe put a poll up for people to say, no, I don't think it looks good. I don't think it looks good, or swappable head, or maybe have people vote for it. Because then I could just be mad at the community for like, why would you pick to not have a removable helmet, instead have two swappable heads? I don't like swappable heads personally because I end up with a bin full of parts. Whereas for me, I want to be able to put it on, take it off, put it on, put it off. But that's just me. So besides for the rigid plastic on this, it's already causing stress marks, and the fact that we didn't get a helmet, but we got a swappable head. We do have these very teeny tiny hoses. Now, I have seen where a lot of people have been complaining about the hoses not really pairing up inside of the scuba gear. Mine seems to fit okay. I'm going to fit him like this. And I guess I could pose him kind of like this, where he's holding like his mask. Not my favorite, but okay, so. And that pin on this just feels super fragile. This is why I don't like swappable heads, guys. Usually once I find a head I like, I'm going to put it on there. I'm going to leave it at that. And I guess, you know, they say, well, you could soften it up. You could put it in an air dryer. You could, you know, put a little bit of oil on it. Yeah, I know. But I don't really like having my action figures super oily, because then they shoot out of my hands when I go to play. And yes, I do play. Overall, it's a good looking figure. I do feel like the head should have been bigger. Why? Because he should have had a dive helmet. That's all I got to say about that one. I digress. You know, the thing is that there's lots of beautiful stuff in this. You've got the nice fin here. You've got the wiggly movable ears. You've got this piece that's a separate piece on there. There's lots of pieces that are separate pieces. It looks good. You got an extra head. So this could be like the head of his partner that he leaves in his dive bag, or can stick it on there. Or, yeah, we'll just stick it on the back of his thing. Look, he's got a severed Hydro-Viper head on the back of his tank. Oh, kills me. Absolutely kills me. But, you know, what do I know? All in all, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. It's not, interestingly enough, it's not my fave. And I know that when it came to, let's kind of compare them. We got, of course, Eel. We have Wetsuit Hydro-Viper, the Eel. I know when it came to Wetsuit, I was kind of concerned because I was like, the flippers are a little odd, but you know, they work. Why didn't we just get standard flippers? Helmet was, you know, a little loose, but I love the fact that we have a helmet on him. The hoses and everything worked really great. My biggest complaint with him was the fact that his hand would not fit around this piece. Now, I turned it around the other way, so it felt a little bit better. And that this belt was not sculpted into the pants. They did awesome by sculpting the belt into the underwear portion of this, so it works out great. Like, it looks incredibly cool. Again, Cobra Eel, we got the hoses here. I feel like his hoses should have been thicker. Thicker. And look, oh, looky there. Look, he has a helmet, a removable helmet. And his head doesn't look too big. And I think that's the key thing. We understand that it's a diver. It should have been a helmet. That's all I'm going to say on it. I think for me, that's my biggest thing. If you're a big fan of the 80s Hydro-Viper and you love the Hydro-Viper and you love the fact that it had that helmet, you love the color scheme, even with the yellow, keep in mind there's yellow. You have the yellow here in the face, but that's going to be it. Uh-oh, I froze up. You have the yellow here in the face, but that's going to be it. And I think that's going to be the... There we go. Fade. There we go. All right. I think that's going to be a key thing in that, hey, this is missing some of those 1980 points and hits. It'll be easy to adapt this in a retro card because there's really not too much else that's going to be different. But it does feel like... It almost feels like if they do a retro, I'm wondering if they're going to fix the helmet issue. Because for retro, it does tend to line more with the vintage figure. And I think that if that's the case and we do get a vintage that has a helmet, I might be getting one of those and laying this one to rest. I don't know. I like them. I just don't like them as much as I thought I would. And I think the biggest killer for me is the fact it doesn't seem to have the same play feature as the original. Listen, that's all I got to say about it. I know I droned on for a long time about that helmet, but it's a big thing for me. It really is. So, listen, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications to be alerted if anything comes from me to you. I don't really do too many of my action figure reviews. This one I really felt I should because it's GIJoe Classified. I still get a few of them here and there. Not as much as I used to, but I still get them. So for me, I figured I would still share my love of these things to you. If you haven't gotten one of these, right now they're kind of hard to find. Give it a little bit, they'll start showing back up on market. But just be warned, it is not a helmet. Not at all. Hey, thank you all for showing up today. I appreciate you. I love you all. Jesus loves you more. There's nothing you can do about it. Good luck with the build, and happy brick hunting.